online. So we'll call our Public Works and Urban Beautification meeting to order for May 25th. Declarations of conflict of interest. I don't believe I see any. Thank you. Approval of the agenda. I'll need a mover and a seconder. Moved by Councillor Ramsey, seconded by Councillor Duffy. All those in favor? I'll put your hand up. Thank you very much. Okay, the adoption of the minutes. We have two sets of minutes there. We have the Public Works last meeting of April 27th, and we have we finally got our Civic Board of Persons and Disabilities back online here. So on May the 12th, and very excited to report I even managed to get Brenda Porter back, who was very frustrated, and she's going to continue to come back. So we're going to get that committee up and running and moving along. So I'll need a mover and a seconder for the minutes. Moved by Councillor Yankoff, seconded by Councillor Duffy. All those in favor? Thank you. Any discussion, business arising from those minutes? I will probably just start, if you don't mind, just to talk a little bit about the Civic Board of Persons with Disabilities. Where the frustration lied with that committee was just simply a lot of things they were wanting to see get done. But they never got a yes, they didn't get a no, they didn't get anything. So I made the commitment that we're going to make sure that the minutes get put on our agenda before it goes to council, and then we can act on some of these things. So Scott, I think that's why I was kind of pushing for someone from staff to kind of, I guess, they don't necessarily got to be there, but there needs to be some correspondence with what they're asking. And we're at one time, we used to, and I think we talked about that in a minute, about recognizing people that have done things for folks with disabilities and accessibility. For example, Liam put the elevator in down there at Peaks Key. There's the the ice cream shop out in Sherwood there. So there's good things happening. We need to recognize those folks for doing that in the disability and accessibility world. So I hope you take the time to read that, and Scott, perhaps you and I could have a chat about that after moving forward. So thank you very much on that. Outside of that, any other concerns, questions?
Yeah, just when you said about a staff person, should a staff person not be at all of those community meetings? I thought that was discussed before a council of a whole, that we can't have these ad hoc committees without having a staff person at them, keeping proper notes and keeping people kind of in their own lane.
Yeah, like the problem I had with this committee was I would show up, and then of course there's no one there to pass the pay sheet in. And I know it's not my job to be there every meeting, but I try to get there. But there's no staff, and then they were meeting at 4:30, which means summer staff, everyone's gone. So we've now moved the meeting to 11:45, and we're going to have meals like some of the other committees are having, and go from there. So yes, I don't know where that goes, but I always thought we should have, like, I know we have someone taking the minutes and all that stuff, but I always thought we should have a staff member somehow participating in it. Scott,
we're working towards that, and should be in place for the next meeting, especially with the lunch hour move. I appreciate. Thank you for that, Councillor McLeod. That makes it a lot easier to get someone there every time. Because it is after hours. It is very challenging to ensure someone can be there every time.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. Okay.
Terry, like with my youth retention, I have Doug sitting in on that all the time too, so that really helps.
Yeah.
So he sort of keeps me informed of what they're asking and what they're looking for and things along that line. So that certainly helps when there is a staff member along that line.
Yeah. Because it's like Donna, we one thing we've recognized is that Charlottetown is dragging their heels on accessibility within the city. The CNIB, we've had them in, and a lot of times when the national studies come out, they just ignore the request to have, so we are, and we're older infrastructure city, right? And as we do move forward, Scott's got a good handle on it. When they're trained, like for site problems, the block that they tap, should be so many feet from the intersection and all that kind of thing. So just to bring you up to speed, there needs to be, as we move forward with intersections and infrastructure, that we keep that in mind. So this committee kind of is that watchdog, and we're hoping to you know, the things they're asking for is not unreasonable, but we just kind of haven't been giving them the attention they deserve. So I plan on making that a goal to make sure that it does.
I think, Councillor, and Scott may not be aware of this, I believe we passed a resolution at council that we would do things through an accessibility lens.
Mhm.
I believe that was when Councillor Cody was first elected, and it was he who was championing that at the time. So that is one of our priorities. With respect to these meetings, I am fully supportive of having a staff person there. I do not think it is your responsibility as elected officials to be doing the paperwork for meetings. So Scott and I did have a discussion when this first came up, and I expressed my opinion at the time, and but I have not got around to dealing with all the rest of the committees to make sure that there is a staff person. But like you say, especially, you know, it is difficult to, you know, we have a lot of committees, and it's
it's tough. Oh yeah, and you can't get all of them. And like you say, I think just more communication between myself and Public Works and yourself. You know, maybe Albert can go one day. Maybe, you know, if we can't find a dedicated person, as long as we commit to having someone there. I think just to, you know, for guidance, and you know, a lot of times committees can get off course quite easily, right? And if there isn't someone there to kind of steer the ship, then things can go astray. That's all. Yeah.
Well, one of the things I think with an agenda is that I know I used to go to that civic disabilities because they want to talk about transit. If transit was on the agenda, then I went.
Yeah.
If sidewalks or whatever, so it's being able to call on various people to get. But of course, they want to talk about transit every month. I wasn't going to go every month.
Like there's two requests there. Like this month, one is to have Wayne Long come in to explain accessibility at functions, just so that they're aware of, you know, what we're doing as far as the form that a participant would fill out to host an event within the city. You know, it's best to have Wayne explain all that, and then IT as well. They'd like to know what's happening in the chamber and what good news we're doing there. So, because we do have some issues with some of them, they have to read lips and things like that. So, just an update. Even I don't know really what the full update is on the chamber. So that's two simple requests, and I would only ask them to be there maybe 10 or 15 minutes to give a little presentation, and off they go. So anyway, good news stuff. We'll keep moving on, I guess, if there's no other questions. Everybody good on the minutes?
Yeah.
Thank you. Good. You can hear us, Mike, okay?
Yeah, I'm fine.
Thanks, Terry. Yeah. Good, thank you. Okay, so into reports, 6A is the Urban Forest Report Card. I guess, Scott, you got that?
Yes, thank you, Chair. So this report originates out of environment sustainability, but we want to share with this committee since environment sustainability are the kind of the gatekeepers of our trees in terms of inspection and making sure our streets, our canopy is in good health. We provide the labor force at the end of the day for simple things as pruning to full-blown tree removals. And so environment sustainability recently did work with a consultant and created a urban forestry report card. And it was just to help us identify the areas that we have strengths in, but also identify the areas that we need some improvement in, so that we can start targeting those areas and to improve the services that we provide in terms of our tree urban forestry program. And so as a result of the report card, we scored very good in about 31 areas. 70 areas of the report card we were fair, but in 64 areas we have some areas that we need to improve on. And again, the report card, there was a number of different criteria that they looked at, from labor force to inspections to just management of various species or invasive species that are a hazard to our trees. So some of the strengths that we had, we have an excellent street and park tree inventory. Our teams have worked very hard on on creating that and maintaining it. We have good policies and bylaws, a good public tree protection bylaw in place, street tree request process, which is great. We do planting site assessments, pest and invasive species management, and field-based trip inspection. So we do a lot of good, but there are some areas that we could really improve on. And one of the biggest areas is the resources or the staffing that is applied to it. So right now on the public works side, the majority of our entire tree crew is a seasonal staff, a team of 4, and it's we could benefit from year-round crew. At a minimum 2 staff that they're dedicated, that they are urban forestry trained, and have certifications in various aspects of urban forestry. Where right now we don't have that skill set or those trainings. We could also benefit from increasing pruning. Again, just because we're seasonal activity, seasonal crews, we're typically only able to deal with the urgent or high priority trees versus maintenance and pruning, which if we start doing more pruning, we'll reduce that urgent list going forward. And then we're also looking at higher end uses for our wood waste, which I know that our environment sustainability team are looking at options for that right now. And again, then just the tree risk management policy and the street tree targets. And that's essentially developing targets for increasing our tree canopy around the city on streets that don't have a good tree canopy. And so again, at the end of the day, we just want to bring this forward as information, as a piece of information for the community, just to show, we do a lot of great in the community in terms of our tree canopy, but there's always, as with anything, there's always room to grow. We will bring forward recommendations and comments as we dig deeper into this report card and identify key areas that we want to improve on. And so we just hope for support moving forward with some improvements that we're trying to make on our urban forestry program.
Okay. Thank you very much, Scott. Only question I have, but some of these items would not necessarily be all public works, right? I mean, this would be a shared, I believe, with environment and sustainability, right? I mean,
correct. Yeah.
Like I know, like the having a year-round person would probably fall under us. And that would include, like, what would that include? Like storm damage, that type of thing? Would it be where?
Absolutely. So you look at a lot of other municipalities, they do have dedicated full-time tree crews. And so in the summer months, their main goals are large removals that we can remove in that season.
Right.
They will, of course, storm damage. Now if we have our own crew, we have them always on call, which is great, not solely relying on contractors. Because as we well know, any storm that blows in through town, our contractors are spread thin trying to help us out, but they also, are looking after their residential clients. And then in the winter and also in the summer, then they're dedicated to tree planting and other inspections and other various activities. There's no shortage of work. The real big key is the winter months. So the winter is kind of the ideal time because the trees are dormant to do limbing, pruning, all that good stuff. Because now as you probably all remember when we were talking about Dutch elm disease, you can only prune at a certain time of year. If not, you risk releasing spores into the air, which attracts the insects or the invasive species. So there are very clear direction on when certain trees can be pruned and trimmed. And that's a real area that we're lacking on because we just don't have those resources in the summer months or in the winter months, my apologies, dedicated to tree pruning and trimming. All we do in the winter is we bring contractors in for immediate removals.
All right. So getting back to our budget there, having that bucket truck would come in handy.
Correct. Bucket truck is a great start. You have to have the right bucket truck for tree crews. It is a little different from a like electrical bucket truck. because typically it's a little bit longer boom arm on it. But yeah, they're geared up a little differently. But yeah, so bucket truck, of course. Also, if you're doing your own in-house work, you would need a big a chipper, so you can grind up everything right on site and blows it right into the back of a truck, so you can haul away and use those chips, whether it's for mulch or for energy consumption. The possibilities are endless.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it. I know I see a lot what the environment sustainability does, and I see what we're doing. So you know, it's two good committees that work close together, and I'm sure this will be the same.
Yeah,
Any other questions? Sorry, any other questions for Scott, folks?
Good to go.
Good to go.
Good to go.
Thank you very much. Yeah, so you're going to come back on that, Scott, I take it, right, with just kind of update what we're thinking of doing with that report, right?
Yes, that's correct. Yeah, as we work with environment sustainability to target specific targets that we'd like to try achieve, then we'll bring back additional, whether it's resolutions or looking for support on various initiatives.
Yeah, certain components of it. Okay, thank you very much. We'll move on then to the capital projects monthly update. Donna, this has been a wonderful piece of work. I'm telling you, like, it just solves so many questions and before they even get asked.
I was sitting home last month, reading the package, and oh my God, I tried for 5 years to get a document like this. So I was pretty excited. The first thing I said to Scott, I love it, I love it, I love it.
Yeah, no, it's great. You know, the council members all can see where the projects are, you know, from month to month, and it's a bit of work on Scott's part for sure. I mean, but it's a very useful tool. Anyway, go ahead, Scott.
Thank you. So I'll just share it. The bonus of being virtual is I can kind of share it and go through it with you as well at the same time. So not a lot of big changes since last month's report up April. April's kind of just when you're starting to wind up, and May is now we're starting to see more shovels in the ground around.
Can you make that a little larger, please?
Certainly. How's that for you?
We could be, you know, we're not all young here. There we are.
All right, perfect. So yeah, so City Hall renovations, we are actually, or sorry, not, I thought that was the roof, but that is not, that's a different one. My apologies, we'll get down to that one. So really the big ones here, Belmont Street sidewalks, we're underway now, working through a few just engineering challenges, but typical for a local, or when you're trying to do trying to redo a retrofit in an existing neighborhood. Pond Street, we have some activity out there this week. There's a couple of warranty issues that they have to repair before they put their final lift of asphalt. So those repairs, they're trying to get those all done within the next week and a half. And then we'll see the final lift of asphalt coming in, I would likely say in the next 2 to 3 weeks at the latest. And then that will wrap that project up for good, which is fantastic. It's a long time coming. Public Works, our new building, there's more work ongoing, more activity on site. The foundations or the footings have all been poured. And now we are on track to receive the first of the prefab structure, and I believe we're supposed to start seeing it within the next 2 weeks. I believe it was early to mid-June when we'll start seeing the building show up. And as that shows up, it goes up very, very quickly. Like I say, it's prefabricated and it shows up. Piece 1 shows up, piece 2 is right behind it, and it goes together, just kind of clicks all together quite quickly. Fire Station 3, we're still in the design process at the moment for that one. Harley Street, notice went out today to residents advising the project's going to be starting within the next couple of weeks. And that's about a 12-week project is what we're anticipating that. Garfield, we're making great progress on that one after a bit of a hiccup delay in terms of COVID and the crew getting COVID and being off for a week. This week, the water line will be fully installed and tested early next week. Once it passes, then the old water line is coming out and the storm sewers are going in. So hopefully by the end of next week, all pipe we should be very close to having all the pipe in the ground, and then we start building everything back up. Eastern Gateway, we're still just in the design phase with that one. Not a big update on that one. Street resurfacing, the tender has now been posted, and I believe it closes this week. Ken's Corner, well underway as well, upgrading the signals and adjusting how cars approach the intersection a bit. We're making great progress on that, and that should wrap up in about, most of the work will be done within 2 to 3 weeks from now. Short Street extension, that has been awarded. We're just waiting for a firm date on start from the contractor for that work. Beech Street, Park Street, we're likely, like I say, we're 99% complete. We're just waiting for the final package of everything to come forward, and we'll get that tendered once we receive that. St. Peter's Road, Belvedere Roundabout resolution we'll talk about in a little bit. The new sidewalks, the first 3 you see here, Sandstone, Lincoln, Grafton, and Centennial. You'll see that resolutions coming forward here shortly. The remaining sidewalks and multi-use pathways, we're currently in design, making great progress on that, and we should have documents next month for tendering. Beech Grove Road culvert replacement. Work is expected to begin within the next 2 to 3 weeks. The initial part of the project is not the culvert, actually. It's water and sewer work, tying in the Lewis Point Park area. Currently, that whole area is fed off one line, which comes off North River Road. We are tying that whole neighborhood now into a high pressure line off Capitol Drive, so essentially creating a big loop for water, which is the ideal way to ensure constant pressure and water flow to that area. So that work takes place first. It's a few weeks of work to do that, and then we start excavation at the box culvert. So once I'll have more of an update next month on that one.
Okay, can I just ask a question on that, Scott?
Certainly.
Yeah, the council of the area was quite concerned about our messaging, getting out to the public about how much time that's going to take. You know, even in my own one over there in Garfield Street, you know, that caused quite a bit of concern. You know, a lot of folks were thought that it was going to be another Pond Street and it was going to take all summer, blah blah blah. So the same thing's probably going to happen out at Beech Grove. So he was concerned about messaging. So I just wanted to remind you on that we make sure we
absolutely
get that out. Yeah,
we're trying to right now, hoping, I believe it's going to happen next week as of right now. Want to meet with all emergency services, because this is this one project in particular is really going to have an impact on a potential impact on emergency services. So we want to meet with those folks first to ensure our discussion at that meeting is part of the messaging that goes out to the public. And yes, once we have those meetings, then we'll be issuing letters and doing a media campaign on this one as well. We've worked with communications are aware of this, and so that we will be coming down the road here very shortly.
Thank you.
Thank you. And then traffic and these parking, we haven't, these are just our we put them in here, but these are just our typical expenditure accounts for when we do signage upgrades and things like that. So we haven't shown any expenditures in that one at the moment. Again, then on our fleet side of things, we have a number of projects that have been awarded. Bucket truck is now currently tendered. And then we're working on the final 2 pieces of equipment, those specifications as we speak. Now to the municipal building side of things, the Honeywell upgrades. Honeywell upgrades are going ahead. They're making lots of progress, and it will continue for the coming months. Lots of work to still be done. So we're doing some security upgrades and renovations to our municipal buildings. That is, we're in this process of putting the specs together and getting that tender out as soon as possible. My apology, I just realized City Hall roof placement, I have not updated on the spreadsheet, so I will update that and make sure that's updated in the committee pack or council package. But we are actually about 5 weeks ahead of schedule. All materials I have been told are on site now, and they are making great progress. And so sometime next month, everything should be wrapped up and scaffolding coming down, hopefully before Canada Day long weekend is my goal. But I think we're on track to to be there. And then the rest of the projects were still in the pre-design process, just figuring out the identifying the scope of work, and then we'll start putting tender documents together to either have engineering services or to buy materials or hire a contractor. So that's the update from Public Works on capital projects at the moment.
Thank you very much. Any questions for Scott, folks?
Scott,
Councillor Randy.
yes, thanks, Scott, for that. And I know it's May and the winter's over, but I'm just wondering, is there any way or any possible way that you have the engineers look at sort of have poles put along North River Road coming in from Capitol Drive for the winter time for our Santa Claus or our snowflakes that are in certain other areas, that because that is one of our main thoroughfares, right?
That's correct.
And I know that,
Yeah.
I'm sorry. And I know you mentioned it one other time that I brought it up that we can't put it on maritime electric poles. But is there any way that between now and let's say next November that we can sort of look at if it is possible to run our own infrastructure along that line? Because that is one of the main places, like coming in and driving around last winter. Like there's some places that you look and you're saying, holy God, what's going on?
It's definitely, we can definitely take that under advisement and look at a plan. My goal is to continue to expand where our winter decor goes. And it may not, it may not be feasible to put our own lighting infrastructure between now and November. But what we might be able to do is look at, at a, I'm just thinking top of my head, at a corner area, potentially by the soccer field at North River and like Nassau, I guess. There's space there. Maybe it's something we could put up a small display there and power it up. And so it's definitely something we'll take under advisement and see how we can expand that going forward.
Yeah, because basically, like, if it's good for the goose, it's sort of good for the gander. Like it all shouldn't be in one area. And I think there's only probably one snowflake, and that was besides Simmons Arena.
Okay. Yep.
And things like that. And as Mike knows too, Councillor Duffy, like there's a lot of traffic comes in and out every day on North River Road, and like it's a main street really. And I mean, why have it run through subdivisions when there's nothing on the main streets, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
Absolutely. No, I think it's a great point, Councillor, and we'll definitely hopefully.
Yeah, just food for thought.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Ramsey. Any other questions for Scott on the capital projects? See none? Okay. Thank you very much, Scott. Great information and a great tool to keep everybody abreast of what's happening. So thank you.
And really great work. Thank you, Scott.
Yeah, it is. It's great. Master plan for West Worldy, Scott. So we have an update there.
Yeah, so I guess we did bring it back last committee meeting, as you all likely recall. But unfortunately, we didn't get the hard copies out to everyone. So we did agree that one more month won't hurt anyone. Gives you folks a chance to, you and the remainder of council, to have a look and have a look at the document and the work that's has gone into it so far. And just ask any questions that you may have or concerns about what you're seeing there. I can do, I'm just going to share my screen just for a quick second, just to kind of give a quick overview of the area here. So this is what I call the 2041 build out. And the reason why 2041, we started this project in 2021. And we kind of said in increments of 10 years, roughly what a road network could look like in this area. Again, I want to stress that the goal of this is not necessarily to identify exactly where a street is going to go. It's definitely not the goal. The goal is these connection points. is how you're getting, you know, residents and buildings from this point down to here. So the idea is, you know, make sure that we have a connector here and a connector here. You know, if this street E had to kind of somehow wind through the property, you know, those are things that we would work with developers as they bring in their development permits to fine tune that the final alignment of the road network. But that's really the key is creating these networks to better, or creating these nodes or these intersections to be able to get folks from point A to point B without them having to take a extremely roundabout way or cutting through areas that we're trying to avoid them cutting through. So again, this is the build out for by 2041. Again, that can change. You know, we don't know exactly who's going to develop first in these areas, and so focus can go in one area or another as we move along here. And some other key things, you'll see some highlights like some of these lines here. These are just showing it's color coded over here. And you can see, like, you know, it's recommending, because we did some traffic modeling here, that this section of Capitol Drive, which is between North River Road and University Avenue, you know, it should be 4 lanes at some point in time. And those are things that we you know, keep in mind as we go to recommend projects in and around this area. And one other major concern that we did hear loud and clear from the residents was a concern about connecting a Spencer Drive all the way over to Mount Edward Road. How do we do a treatment here? You know, there was a lot of concern about the volume of traffic that, you know, that people are speculating that are going to be there. At the end of the day, the models aren't really showing any increase in traffic. Based on theory and what we've seen and experience, it would be a very small increase in traffic at the end of the day, I think. But we do have an option. We've looked at some design elements and how we could better tailor this intersection to eliminate or make it really unappealing for anyone to cut into here. And so what we've done is essentially, and I apologize, I'm going to try to scroll down and find the photo very quickly. If I can. Apologies, I should have been more prepared here. Should be down here somewhere.
Getting close.
Yeah, it's a big document. It took a while to get this document together.
A lot of work.
Goodness, where is it? I do apologize. I forgot to bookmark it.
Yeah, I know as chair, you know, it was very concerning that we would be trying to send traffic up to, you know, subdivisions and you know, there's a lot of kids play at Mulberry Diamond between basketball and soccer and baseball. You know, so when I seen this idea, I thought, wow, this will really work well, and save that issue from happening. Yeah.
This should be it.
Yeah, I think that's it there, isn't it?
That looks to be. Yeah, okay, I see it now. I had to get my bearings here. So just for everyone's bearings, so this is Mount Edward Road here. That's north-south of your page. This would be the future Spencer connection to to Mount Edward Road. This would be Ash and Ash, yes. So hopefully that makes sense. So what we would do here, and again, this is just showing the lane configuration. We can't truly show exactly how the intersection will look on such a small photo. But these are the restricted movements that would be in place. And we would further enhance that by concrete islands and splitter islands. So it's next to impossible to make any other movement other than the movements that you're permitted to make. So what we would do is we would restrict full access to Ash, except for folks coming from northbound on Mount Edward Road. So you're heading from Allen Street on North River Road, or on Mount Edward Road, sorry, heading north towards the bypass, you would be able to make a right turn. And that's mostly for emergency services to permit that. And of course, residents as well would be able to come in there as well. But we need to keep that right moving for those two main criteria. If you're coming from Spencer, your only option would be a left towards the bypass or a right towards town. And if you're coming from the bypass on Mount Edward Road, your only options would be through movement and right onto Spencer. So, and again, the reason is the concerns we heard, and we heard loud and clear, was people were very concerned that this would just create a through fare from the Spencer area into the neighborhood. And we don't want to see that at all. Not our intent at all. Our goal is Sherwood is a residential area off Ash, and we want to keep Ash and the surrounding streets in there as a residential as well. So we came up with this option to help alleviate those concerns whenever we do go get ready to build this intersection if we do.
So a question, so we're expecting today to move this along to planning?
That's correct. So the goal from this resolution, or from this motion, we'd ask for a motion to move this to planning, who would then take it through their processes. So there, I believe I've been told there would be another public meeting on this. And then they would take any feedback, comments from the public and council. Of course, we would, see what we can do to address additional concerns if we have more concerns from that, and then they would look to bring it forward and entrench it in a bylaw with council's approval at the end of the day.
Right. So when would you expect for us to have a full diagram of how we're going to block off Ash Drive?
So we weren't, I guess it wasn't anticipated that we would need that, because that is a more detailed construction drawing. I could try to get something done, but again, it wasn't in my anticipated or wasn't anticipated to be done, I guess, just to truly show what would happen. But truly what would happen is we would have like an island right here, a triangle island, so that if you're coming from this direction, you would have to run over a 6-inch high island, which you're not going to be able to do. It's literally what I call a right slip lane is what it's going to look like. So it's a nice channel in, it channels folks right in, but you would have to drive over concrete from any other direction.
Go ahead, Councilor Ramsey, go ahead.
Thanks, Scott. Just by looking at it, and you're coming from Spencer Drive, and let's say you want to go on Ash.
Mm-hmm.
So you, like, in the future, there will be no way you can go right straight across Mount Edward Road to go to Ash, correct?
You would have to, like I say, you'd have to drive over a concrete island, 6-inch high concrete island, which not many vehicles can traverse very easily. Yeah, so there would be a physical concrete island barrier with likely there'd be like a signal pole sitting in the middle. So in the middle of it. So it would be a very visual cue that you cannot go straight through.
If there's a resident coming from Spencer Drive, for example, that lives in Ash.
Yeah.
So
So
how would they get to Ash?
They would either have to go down. They would either have to go left or right. And there's I'm terrible with street names, so I do apologize. But there's a street to the north of Ash and a street to the south of Ash, which connects to Towers Road. So an individual that's on Spencer could take the road in behind them all onto Towers and go into Sherwood that direction as well.
Okay, good.
And then in the future, you could go left as well, right? Eventually, at some point, up to the St. Dunstan's property, kind of what I call the St. Dunstan's property.
Yep. We do.
Yeah.
Correct.
You would come out north. You would come out north of Ash, and then turn right back on the Mount Edward Road, and then back on. Yeah. Somehow
you'll have a number of options.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I just want to know, Scott, eventually when we go to a public meeting, that should be probably drawn up by that time.
Sure. Yep. Definitely. No, I appreciate the feedback, and definitely I'll ask our consultant to kind of do
A triangle.
guess a bit of a sketch on what a construction drawing would look like for the
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Any other questions for Scott, guys, on this one?
No, I'm okay.
All good?
Yep.
Okay. So we'll deal with the motion at the end, I guess, as we get to it, Scott, eh? That'd be the way to do that, or?
You can pass it now because I'm finished with my report. So if you folks have further, if any of you do not have any further questions, then you can pass a motion now for this to move to planning.
So before I do, Donna, so moving forward, like with some of the issues that we had last night, so I'm gonna make a motion here, ask for a motion, and then it will get recorded in our minutes, right, for future references, right? I mean, it seems to be the problem we had. I'm pretty sure we did this for the other, but anyway, I just want to make sure that this gets documented, that the motion.
It is important that it be moved by seconded by.
Yeah.
And that the motion be said and then it be voted on. Scott will make sure that's in the minutes. Then
Right.
Scott will take this whole package with his report.
Right.
And he will send it to planning and it won't be from Scott Adams anymore. It will be from the Public Works Committee, asking them to take it through their process.
Okay.
And then when that's done, it'll go to council asking them, it'll go from the planning board to council.
Right. Great. Okay. Thank you very much. So folks, hearing that, I'll need a motion to move this.
Just a point of clarity there. So,
Yes.
so the staff's recommendation from Public Works is for committee to send this along to the planning department. Is that correct?
Yes.
Correct.
Okay, I'll move.
Okay.
I'll second it.
Moved and seconded, moved by Councilor Yankoff, seconded by Councilor Ramsey, that we move this on to planning for their consideration and moving it forward. All those in favor? And you okay, Mike?
Yeah, I just have a question though.
Go ahead.
Does this issue not have to stop at finance before it goes into the council chamber?
Well, I don't think we're rewarding any money at this point.
But you are at some time if you say, like I thought finance was didn't matter whether you're going to spend money or not. It was just you're going to spend money someday on this.
Right, and I think the idea is that planning will do their part, and then between that between that process and the planning or the public meeting, we'll have some figures ready. That'll then, once we get by the public process, then it would go to finance with dollars and cents. We might want to have a general consensus as to what it's going to cost, but I think once we get by that step, then finance would get their dollars and cents, and they would either approve or not approve the whole formality of the process.
Yeah. Okay.
So all those in favor, again, just to make sure we got everybody. 1, 2, 3. Thank you very much, and the mayor is absent. Okay, so that will move on to planning. Thank you very much, everybody. Next is tenders. Scott, did you want to explain any of them, or do you want me just to read them off?
I might help if I go through them quickly, Councillor.
Okay, good enough.
No worries. So the first one is for the roundabout, St. Peter's Road roundabout. We only received one bid at 5.754. $5,754,393 plus applicable taxes to do the work. Unfortunately, that is over budget. And really where the budget issues are coming from is the fuel costs and labor costs, inflation, material costs. It's adding up. And right now we're hearing across the board, prices are up in the range of about 20 to 30%. And when you actually calculate this from our original budget to what the bid came in, it came in right smack dab a 25% increase over our budget, which is in line with what we're seeing in the market. And we did our budget, remind you too, we did our budget last fall, prior to any of the gas issues and all that, increases and knowing how high CPI was going to be at the end of the day. So this is a joint project between Public Works and Water and Sewer. So we're doing a major rehab on the intersection and the streets surrounding it in terms of water and sewer and storm and upgrading curb and sidewalks. So we've talked internally about how do we compensate for the additional funds, and we staff are recommending that we there's a portion of unallocated what we call gas tax. I forget the current name. I think it's CCBF. And there's a portion that still has yet to be allocated. And so we're recommending that we recommend the additional 1.5 million that we need to cover the cost of this project, reallocate 1.5 million from that fund to this project. So at the end of the day, it is an increase to the capital budget, but it's no increase to money borrowed for the city. It's coming from a pot of money that we have set aside for major infrastructure.
So I'll go first, Kevin, and then Kevin, you go. Councilor Ramsey, go ahead. You go ahead.
Sure.
Yeah.
Scott, so there's no way the province is throwing money into this, is it?
No, there's no additional funds. No, we've exhausted a number of different avenues, and I think you're a part of a few of those discussions. No, we've exhausted every avenue, and really the answer we keep getting is, the city, we are part of the community building fund, or CCBF, or the former gas fund, or gas tax fund, and recommended that we allocate some of those funds from what we get for that.
But did they not help us out for some roundabouts through the time, or not?
I can't speak to previous ones here. Donna,
I don't know either. I'm just asking.
Yeah, I'm not sure if that was also gas tax money at that point in time. It could have been that.
Yeah.
But I'm not aware of an additional funding stream that was available for the city at those times.
And I don't
It's
recall it.
frustrating.
No. Councilor Ramsey, if you remember at the meeting, I was pretty hard, trying to tell them that, the people that are using this roundabout are folks that are coming from all parts of the province. If you're coming from the North Shore, the Stanhope Golf Course, all that you're coming to, a lot of times you're coming down through that way. You're coming from Morel, you're using that roundabout as you come into the city. So I sold it hard, but they strictly just said it was city infrastructure and that there's funding programs with such as the gas tax and the mayor. We had many discussions, and that's where the mayor said that whatever funding we needed, we'd have to go to the gas tax, and of course that's where we are today because of the overruns. So the city, I think we've done a good job actually of getting close. Whoever thought that we'd be, talking about the increases in the cost from COVID and fuel and whatever. So, any other questions, concerns?
Oh, I'm okay.
Good. Okay. So,
Just a question, Chair.
Sure.
So the report that came with this, it's saying a recommendation from staff. Are we comfortable? Is that report clear enough for finance and council? I mean, it's clear enough for me. I just want to make sure that we have all the information we need in there for council to make an informed decision.
Mm-hmm.
I think as long as people read the package of I think we'll be okay.
Gotcha. Yeah. Well, then I'll move this forward to finance.
Okay, good. Thank you very much. So moved by Councilor Yankoff, seconded by Councilor Ramsey, that we move the St. Bridget's Road roundabout on to finance for their consideration and then on to council. All those in favor? Good. Thank you. 3-0 with the mayor absent. Thank you. Good job, Scott. It's always tough, those ones, eh? So the next one is the one on the traffic control signs and posts. Scott, you want to give me an explanation, please?
That's correct. So annual purchase of street signs, whether it's name blades at the end of the streets or stop signs and all that, we do a stock up every year just so to get us through for the winter until we need to buy more, as well as all the posts and associated hardware for installing the signs. This year is a little bit bigger than in terms of the number of signs than previous years. We really put a push on staff. We have identified every single street in the city that currently does not meet the minimum standard where you're supposed to have a street sign name for all the cross sections there. And so essentially, if you're at the intersection like University Avenue and Nassau, you should have a sign that shows Nassau and University Avenue. So we have identified a large quantity of street signs that are missing at this moment. And so those are all coming with this order, and by the fall, all those will be installed, and we will be meeting our requirements in terms of, I believe it is a requirement for 911 services, but it is just a national standard as well, to be able to find what street you're going in at any intersection, you know where you're at. So we had 3 bidders for this this tender. One bidder, which is Martech, they were the only ones that bid the entire package, which is signs, posts, and hardware. We had the right to break up the signs and award it to one person, the hardware awarded to one person, and the post and awarded to one person, or one company, I should say. And so we looked at all the bids. We had 3 bidders, like I say, Martech, Rayfac, and Mallage Forestry Equipment. They all submitted a bid for the poles and as well as the hardware. And as you see in the resolution, each company is kind of getting a piece of the pie, I guess, you would say. We are recommending to award the signs to Martech, recommend to award the purchase of all posts and the bases to Rayfac, and all the associated hardware, which includes the rivets that hold the sign up and the caps and the top pieces that hold the street sign blades up. We're recommending to award that to Mallard Forestry Equipment.
Okay, thank you very much. Any questions for Mr. Adams? Pretty straightforward, I think. It's good to see that we're sharing the dollars, you know, to various companies. That's kind of good to see everybody get a little piece, and we support the folks out there. So I'll need so staff recommendations there. I think it's pretty good for council to understand, and so I'll be looking for a motion here to move it on to finance. Moved by Councillor Ramsey, seconded by Councillor Duffy. All those in favor? 1, 2, 3. Thank you very much. I will move that on. And the last one, Scott, is the sidewalk.
That's correct. So this is just kind of, I call this phase 1 of sidewalks for this year, because there are still a few sidewalks and a few paved pathways that are currently being designed, and will be tendered later within the next couple months, I guess. For this phase, we had 4 locations to be identified. They were all designed last year, but we just didn't get them awarded in time. The prices did come in quite high. So we had 1 bidder this year, Earthform, at the 4 location you see in their package, was a Sandstone, Lincoln, Grafton, Centennial. We have looked, and again, unfortunately, everything came in high. We try to do our budgeting in the fall, and this year has been an anomaly with the rising costs of materials and labor force and CPI. It's compounding, and we're seeing the pinch when we get prices in. So we reviewed the submission, and we're recommending to only award 2 of the 4 locations. And I have tried to detail the reasoning why in the package, but I'll explain it briefly verbally to you. So we're only recommending to do Lincoln and Centennial. Sandstone, the reason why we're not recommending to award right now is, you may be aware, Sandstone is a street that takes you into Walmart from Capitol Drive. And in the middle of the sidewalk is this large Walmart Home Depot sign. And that is one of the key reasons why we're wanting to upgrade the sidewalk. There's a section that's it's in rough shape, but also we want to eliminate this or move this sign and make it traversable for all abilities. Right now, we can't maintain that section of sidewalk because there is especially in the winter months, I should say, maintain it in the winter months, so it's not really accessible because of the sign. It was installed way back in the day, and so we're now working through the legal, figuring it and working with the owner of the sign, which is Smart Centers, on how we could relocate it, where we could relocate it, and the costs associated with that. It is a large sign, so there are some significant costs associated with that. So we're working through those. It has taken we've started this process since last fall, and it has been very long, trying to find old legal documents and all that. And so just because we know how long it's taken to get to this point, we're still not really that close on getting it relocated. We're recommending let's delay a year until we can get that issue resolved. I hate to award it and tie up funds and not actually be able to do it this year. Grafton Street, unfortunately, this is the section in front of the old hotel on Grafton Street. The reason why we're recommending to delay this would much Grafton. We had originally anticipated this section of Grafton Street to be triggered under the street resurfacing program, and I don't believe it did. So recommending to delay it for a year until it does trigger and gets resurfaced in that area. And then that way, with removing those two sections, we'll be under budget and have a little bit of funds left over in our budget in case of any extraordinaries pop up.
Scott, on Sandstone,
Yes,
you're saying from Capitol Drive in,
correct.
that's what you're looking at. So that sidewalk that is right there in front of the apartment building is
That's
staying.
the one. Yeah, that's where we want to keep it. We want to keep it there and replace it because it is in rough shape. I'm not,
Yes, it
not
is.
sure if you've
Yes.
been in out there in a while, but
Yes.
the key thing was to have that sign relocated. That's in the middle of the sidewalk.
Right.
And it's been a bit of a, we've had some discussions with the owners of it. It's really, the issue is, you know, back in the early 2000s, late 90s, when this was approved to go in there, there's some pieces of information we're missing in terms of who is actually responsible for paying for it to be relocated. So they had permission to install it there. I'm not sure why they allowed to install it in the middle of the sidewalk. That's an anomaly to me. But so those are discussions that we're trying to have with them and trying to work with the owner. It's not that we want it gone completely. The city has given them the right to have the sign within the public right of way, but it's where can we relocate it because it's large, a very large sign.
Oh, yes. Yeah, I know.
And who pays for that? That's the other thing. Who pays for that? So those are discussions that we need to continue to have with them. And it's like I say, we've been at this since late summer, early fall last year, and we're just starting to scratch the surface on it. So I didn't want to award it, and we end up being in the fall this year, and it's still not resolved on the issue.
Well, since we're not going to do anything with it, but we're still going to have that sidewalk accessible, right?
So it'll be as accessible as it is in today's standards.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Like the way it always has been. But my question is, like, we had to have public works crew out there with the snow blowers and everything there last year because that sidewalk was never cleaned.
Yeah, and that's the challenge because we can't send our machine down there because we can't get around the sign.
Yeah, but the sidewalk should be done from the driveway up to Capitol Drive.
Yes, yeah. So whatever service we provide in the past, we will continue to provide. But it just takes a little bit longer because it all has to be done by hand with a push mower, snow blower.
Because last year we were out there in like we had the crews there and like the sidewalk wasn't plowed all winter and like until I got a hold of somebody, right?
Right. Yeah.
So
And then we'll make sure that gets done.
Yeah, because when they're coming out of that apartment building, as you know, they're all seniors that live in there.
Yeah, and they have nowhere to go for sure. So no, it's definitely.
I can't see coming out of the driveway.
Yeah.
CAO Donna, you have a question.
I'm just looking, and I apologize, Scott, for not looking at this a little earlier. But these numbers are way out of whack from what you way out of whack from what you had projected. I mean, like double and triple.
Yeah.
Maybe not triple, but close to tripling.
Like you look at Centennial, I think we had 440, 450.
450 and it was 572. Yeah.
Again, when you start, because there's pipe work involved in that one, when you start adding like 25-30% on top of your numbers, you get very close to what they're submitting for pricing. And that's where, again, it's very unfortunate that we are in this position. It's a challenge when you're trying to put budgets together in the fall. You use your best available numbers, but I wish we had a magic 8 ball to know that we'd be in this situation where we're going to have the highest inflation in Canada and and material cost. If they can get materials right now, if they can get materials, it's extremely challenging. Like I'm hearing now, for some projects, I haven't heard so much direct projects for us, but various projects around Canada. We can't even get raw material right now to build some of the stormwater pipes in some areas of Canada right now. So some projects are shutting down. So it's a challenging year.
I guess it's just we'll have to be careful with the rest of our budget to make sure that
Absolutely.
we want to keep a close eye on it.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Scott, which you said the hotel on Grafton Street. Which hotel was it?
Oh, my apologies. The old Best Western, Councillor Duffy.
Okay, yeah. No, you said the old hotel. And
is it Charlottetown Inn or Charlottetown Inn?
Well, yeah, no, I think
Charlottetown Inns and Suites.
Yeah, something like that. That's correct. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, and just a question on that. I wonder if Councillor Yankoff could take a drive up through there and communicate with Scott, since we're not doing it, just to make sure that the road, what surface is there is passable and that there isn't too many major potholes. Because, they are bringing people into the city and we don't want to see the people being upset over that. So that wouldn't be a bad idea, Councillor Yankoff, to double check on that.
You want to get on the back of my pink scooter and we'll take a drive up?
That sounds like a fun adventure.
Thank you very much. So, or do we feel comfortable moving this on with staff's recommendation? If so, I'll need a mover.
So my question, one more question, Scotty. If I'm asked anything about that sidewalk, we're hoping to do it next year.
Yes, that would be the goal. My goal is to continue the discussions with the folks at Smart Centers and to work with them to find an appropriate location that works for everyone for their sign and to relocate to there to do the sidewalks or do the sidewalk next spring would be the goal.
Thank you.
Okay. Yeah,
Okay, I'm good.
and a reminder to make sure Matheson's have it on their plow list to move.
No, it'd be ours. The sidewalks are all ours. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that's ours anyway. That's right too. Sorry. Okay. Okay. So we need a motion.
Yeah.
Moved by Councillor Ramsey, seconded by Councillor Yankoff, that the sidewalk reconstruction go forward to finance. All those in favor? Thank you very much. Okay, I think that's the end of tenders, I believe, Scott.
That's the last thing that I had. I do have just one more tidbit of update, just in terms of operation. We just, our asphalt crews have all returned back to work this week. They're going through orientation and getting the equipment all up and running. And the asphalt plants are now opened and we'll likely start seeing some asphalt in the next day or two. And then we'll be full tilt within the next week or so.
Okay. I get anything else under new business, guys? Anything to bring up? No? Okay, we're all good. So then I'll just need one more motion. And that is to adjourn. Moved by Councillor Yankoff, seconded by Councillor Ramsey. All those in favor? Thank you very much, everybody. Enjoy your afternoon.